And I have your by the way, I have your websites too that I'm going to show, and then you can explain each one to everybody.
You got the other one, the Hebrews to Negroes TV.com.
I
Is that
think
that's
I do. I have the
the
three
new
that
one?
you sent me. You sent
Oh,
me
okay.
three.
Yeah, that should be it then.
Okay, okay. Shalom, everybody. Shalom, everybody in the chat. I hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. We're going to have a good time talking to Ronald Dalton Jr. tonight. And, so I have the chat restricted to people that are subscribers only. That kind of cuts down on some of the trolling. You know how the trolls always love showing up. So we're going to cut down on that. Shalom. Shalom, everybody. Fire up the popcorn. Okay, yeah, fire up the popcorn. Yeah. So we're going to get into everything, and hopefully we'll all be edified as we walked away. When I have to tell you, when I listened to your season one, episode one, the one I was telling you I was watching,
Hmm.
and I went over your volume two. Now I know why you were so knowledgeable in, the blood types, the DNA, the groups of people, what parts of the you have a medical background. And I didn't know until I watched that. And you're a physician assistant.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm not no dummy.
No, no, oh no, I never thought that. No, I absolutely never thought that because, you know, um, even when I watched the first episode, I can tell you really put a lot into it. It was well researched. And then just when I thought that was really good, then when I saw the second volume, oh my goodness, I enjoyed the second volume so much. I watched it three times. I watched it three times.
Oh
All
wow.
right, y'all. Oh, see, people are writing. The Ali Yah 7 says they have all three of your books.
It's four books altogether.
The four books all together, so you got to get one more.
You're missing one. Yeah.
I know. I'm just getting the books now too. You know, look, if it wasn't for all the uproar about your um, about your books, I probably would not have known at all. So I guess there is a blessing in disguise.
It is.
Hmm. All right, so it is 7:01. Thank you, Black Cougar 1959, for the super sticker. All right, y'all, let's get the introduction out of the way. We have Ronald Dalton Jr. here, and we're going to start out with getting a mini bio from him. And some of you that did not get a chance to watch his documentaries, and you also got to watch his season one, episode one that he have out there. So we're going to talk about all of those things plus more. So I know you started out in, it was Methodist, the Methodist church,
Um, Pentecostal.
Pentecostal. Okay, there you
Pentecostal.
go. Okay, so what was that like? You grew up in a family that was into Christianity. And, I did see your journey, but everybody did not quite hear about your beginnings. Can you just give us a little insight of that?
Yeah. So we moved to Detroit. We started attending a church called Solomon's Temple in on the east side of Detroit on 7 Mile, and that was a Pentecostal apostolic church. Even though when we were living in West Virginia, the church was still Pentecostal apostolic, and that church was just a larger church organization uh, based out of Detroit and New York that was Pentecostal. And so my dad, he eventually branched out to become a pastor in Detroit, uh, on the east side, and we became pastors' kids. And
Mhm.
when you're a pastor's kid, you go to church all the time.
Yeah.
You go to
Yeah.
church Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday revivals, all the people's churches, and so that was like a lot of my upbringing was church and school and in the home life. I was a pastor's kid, but as you get older, you start to you know you're able to ask questions in church and read and understand the Bible that you may not have understood, growing up, um, outside of Sunday school. And as you become more learned in vocabulary and different things from being at high school and college, then I started having these questions that the pastors and the ministers couldn't answer. And after a while, I just started to give up on asking the questions and getting the answers. So I asked God for the truth in regards to the things that I was seeking, and this is where He started to show me the truth about the identity of the Negro and and other things. And this is when I compiled all this information to create the book Hebrews to Negroes.
Right.
Uh, and that's kind of like the short story of my upbringing. And if you
Well,
grew up in a Pentecostal church, apostolic church, uh, how that is.
yes.
So that's a really holy, holy. Back in the day, we couldn't wear makeup. The women they couldn't wear pants, and we couldn't watch rated R movies, and everything was holy, holy. It was a holiness church.
Mhm.
So a lot of things we were shielded from by our parents until you get older, you go to college and you start hanging around friends that are maybe not in the church like you, and then you start getting exposed to how other people are living. Because everybody is not a pastor's kid. So but that helped build the foundation for a lot of what I believe in today, and the morality that I have, and then also the things that I talk about in my books. You can kind of see that a lot of what I say is still based out of what I've learned and what many people have learned and grew up in the Christian church.
Yes. Yes. And I also wanted to ask you, how did your family feel when you started researching and really getting into learning about the Negroes being Hebrews? Did you have a lot of opposition in your family, or did you have people that really were supportive when you were doing your
Um,
research?
no, they were opposed to it because the Bible and the Christian church, they will teach that genealogy doesn't matter, and that it's all about Christ, and Christ doesn't have a color, and He doesn't see color, and we're saved not because of who we are or our race or our sex or our ethnicity or what we call ourselves. And so there, of course, they use a lot of the scriptures in the book of
Hmm.
Paul's epistles. And so a lot of the times when you bring up these questions on identity, you're shot down by the Christian pastors and the ministers and deacons because they're going to give you the scriptures that say that genealogy and knowing who you are doesn't matter, and that we're all one of Abraham's seed in Christ, and that's all you need to know.
Hmm.
So yeah, so any type of investigation and asking questions about who are we, that is discouraged in the black church.
Yes. One thing I noticed, the discrepancies when you would hear about the Hebrews in the Bible, And then what got me, when especially when I was young, were all of the white pictures in the Bible.
Hmm.
And then you know, and I was told the same thing, oh, it doesn't matter what the race of Christ is, but yet every time I would go to church or we would go to a visiting church, I would still see that white image. So if it didn't matter, why are all the images white? You know, and I would ask, and I was still told, oh, well, yeah, they're white, but it really don't matter. But when you go on this journey as a Hebrew, it really does matter. You
Hmm.
know, it's almost like the foundation of what you must know
Yeah.
is the ethnicity of who the real Hebrews are, because if you ignore that, then how do you get to the truth?
Yes, and that's why when the Passion of the Christ came out movie, um, that was like a big thing, and they had subtitles in Aramaic, and it was well done. But Jesus was white, and
Hmm.
everybody else was white too, and you really didn't see any black people in there. And if you're a Christian, even as an adult, you look at these movies and you just accept that Jesus is white because that's all you've been seeing your whole life. And Mel Gibson caught some flack with that movie. Some people have said that he was anti-Semitic, put some things in there that was anti-Semitic, but nevertheless, Passion of the Christ movie is still on Amazon, and it made him a lot of money. Although he's been accused of anti-Semitism over the years, but I mean, still, the message to the Christians is that Christ is white, and
Right.
that's only what we see in biblical movies.
Yes. Yes. Now, what is your point of view about so many of our people still sticking with Christianity, although all of this information is out there now?
The way they look at the Hebrew Israelites as a cult, and they they don't really well. They look at a lot of the certain Israelite camps
Hmm.
and assemblies, and they look at on YouTube videos and they look at Facebook and they see what they're teaching, what they're saying, their delivery, and that turns them off automatically. And they start to believe that you guys are in a cult, you guys don't worship Christ, you guys don't believe in salvation, you guys don't believe in anything that we believe in. And why would I want to accept and listen to anything you guys have to say? Uh, but they don't understand there's a lot of other people like myself that identify as an Israelite that are still holding fast to the same beliefs that people in the Christian church hold fast to. Like
Hmm.
water baptism and um, speaking in tongues and the Holy Ghost and deliverance and salvation for those that believe in Christ as their Savior. And we still hold fast to the New Testament and the Old Testament. So I don't. People say that all the time. You're in a cult. You're in a cult. You're in a cult. Well, if I'm in a cult, then a lot of Christians are in a cult. But the difference between me and them is that I know who I am, and I teach
Right.
the identity of the so-called black man or the Negro. That's
Hmm.
the only really big difference that I teach is that we are not Gentiles, we are the Israelites. And
Yes.
that in itself then comes down to, okay, well, so then if you're an Israelite, you're keeping these Jewish traditions and holidays, like Passover and things of that nature. And they'll say, well, that's a cult to do that. And we'll say, well, the Israelites, they kept the Passover, and Christ, when he was on the earth, he observed the Sabbath and certain holidays. He was around when these things were happening in Israel. And how could you call these things pagan and cultish when where in the Bible do we see Halloween?
In
Where in the
Easter.
Bible is there Thanksgiving? Who
In
gave us
Easter.
Thanksgiving
Yeah,
and Easter?
Easter. Easter's not in there either.
Yeah, why we have Easter eggs in our
And
church?
yeah, and we would have Easter service, and I'm sure it was similar where you were. And then right after the Easter service, we would be outside doing an Easter egg hunt. And it's like, where is it in the Bible that you do an Easter egg hunt?
Yeah, no, we didn't think
And
about that.
and the funny thing is, about a year ago, there was an issue with here, and it happened in my state, where these white children were in blackface,
Mm-hmm.
and it got called out. And then one of the people they were interviewing was actually a Jewish man. And he says, "Oh no, we don't do the holiday." He said, "What we let our kids do is dress up as biblical characters on that." I said, "Then you're celebrating the holiday." And where
Mm-hmm.
does it say in the Bible you let your kids dress up as biblical characters? And I think, so you're really just celebrating the holiday, but you're trying to make it sound like it's something else.
Yeah, yeah, they are. Yes,
You know,
I never heard that one before, but yeah.
I didn't either until I saw it on the interview, and I was like, okay, all right, okay, you got to explain that one to me. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's the same way. In my family, the vast majority of them are in the South. I still got family in the city of Philadelphia where I grew up, but they are all in that church every single Sunday, and I tried talking to them, and you can just tell. That's it. At a certain point in my life, I have to realize that it's just what the Most High said. It's going to be a remnant of us. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, many of my own family members are probably not going to be part of that remnant because they are hanging on for dear life in the Christian church.
Mhm.
There's nothing you can do.
Yep.
They are in it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's unfortunate, but I can kind of understand that's their beginning and they just want to stick with it.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get to Kyrie and how your book really and your documentary really got out there. And I'm sure this was really unexpected for you, for even something like this to happen. But I say, there are no mistakes. There
No.
is a reason. We may not fully understand, but there is a reason why the Most High wanted to put the spotlight on this documentary, on you, and on your books. And, I don't think it was a mistake.
Mhm. No.
Kyrie was, in a way, in my opinion, kind of scapegoated in this whole thing. I don't see how you put a link out there and then you got to do 6 steps to apologize. I mean, you can, that's going right over my head. But how
Mhm.
do you feel about how that whole thing unfolded? Did it take you by surprise?
Uh, y- yes. I
Hmm.
kind of I know that people that were celebrities would follow me on social media, and they would and these are big name celebrities, and I don't know if I should say their names or not, but they would hit me on the back channel, on email, on the DM, different things of that nature, and they will say how the books and the movies are waking up people,
Hmm.
including themselves. And I would say to them, well, then if it's such a good book and movie, why don't you promote it to your people, your fans, your followers? And they would say, well, it's too controversial, and just the book cover with the fist and the word Hebrews to Negroes wake up like America. That is frightening and a lot for people to deal with and handle. And I want to do it, but I can't because if I do it, then they're gonna attack me. They're gonna label me. Are you an Israelite? Do you believe in this stuff? And they didn't want to lose their contracts, their money, their gigs, um, their fame,
Hmm. But you know
and
what? Don't you find it funny that they felt that way? But the biggest promotion of your documentary was actually the mainstream news.
Yeah, 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 it was. So I knew that somebody along the lines would have to come up and not have fear at some point in time. And
Yes.
I didn't know how long it was going to take for this to happen because because I published my first book in 2014 and 15, and the movie came out in 2018. So we're 4 years now ahead, and nobody is still promoting and sharing the news about Hebrews to Negroes
Right.
on like a big social media platform like
Hmm.
Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. And I said, well, I mean, I guess it ain't meant to be right now for people that are celebrities that know about Hebrews to Negroes to actually share the information. Maybe later in the future, it'll happen. But right now, the Most High, has allowed it to happen. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and I'm like, okay, well, people do know about it. It's just that millions of people don't know about it. And I've been saying that this is important. This is vital to Black people in America and beyond, in the diaspora, and even Africa. And I knew that the information in the books were so powerful that when people get a hold of this, they have no choice but to share it with other people because it's that
Right.
powerful. A lot of people that get the books, they say, Ron, I left it on the countertop in my kitchen, in my bedroom, and I came back and it was gone. Somebody took it. My brother, my sister, my wife, whoever. And I gotta borrow it out, and then I end up not getting it back. And so people, they like the book, they like the movies, but for the longest they haven't really been sharing it on a global scale. And just so
Right.
happened that this incident, I seen what Kanye West did and what he was saying, and I said, okay, here we go. Maybe Kanye West is reading my books or watching my movies. Why is he saying these things now? And because everything that he's saying on TV is in my books. It's in my books. Because I don't really talk about the Hollywood, who's controlling Hollywood, and who controls the mass media, and this things of that nature. I don't say these things on the movies, but in the books, I have a lot of information on that, a
Hmm.
lot of what he's saying. And so I said to myself, maybe he's read the books, maybe he's seen the movies, maybe he watches my YouTube videos or whatever. And and then I didn't expect Kyrie Irving to do what he did, like right after what Kanye West did. So when I didn't know that he did that until a friend of mine called me and said, "Do you know what just happened?" And I said, "What?" I said, "Kanye West was talking about my books." He said, "No." He said, "Kyrie Irving posted a link to your movie on Twitter and
Hmm.
Instagram." And I said, I had to think back. Well, who was Kyrie Irving? Because then I remember my brother-in-law. He would talk about him all the time. Saying he was a good basketball player. And then I googled it. I googled it, and then I found out that yes, he did do it, and he is a pretty famous player in the NBA, and people look up to him, even Jewish people. And when I seen the responses to the comments, and just the people in the comment section and Twitter and Instagram, I knew that after he did that, he's gonna get some backlash because now people are gonna want to know what is this movie that he posted, and the Jews are gonna look at that, okay, because he's in the NBA and Jewish people are in the NBA too, and behind the scenes. And those that are in the media, they're going to look at that post to a movie, and they're going to say, well, what is this movie about? And best believe they did their research, they dived into it, they looked at some stuff, and then they picked out what they wanted to pick out that they labeled anti-Semitic. And after that, that was all she wrote, because once they could find something that they could pick out and label as anti-Semitic, then I knew the mass media was gonna run wild with it, and continue to run wild with it until Kyrie would answer for what he did
Mm-hmm.
verbally
Mm-hmm.
and either stand his ground, which I wanted him to do, or eventually, cave in and say, I'm deeply apologetic for hurting the Jewish community, and I didn't want to hurt anybody. And so I knew it was a matter of time before they were going to either ask him to do that, or he was going to stand his ground and risk losing it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard for people to do. I mean, that what's that football player that took the knee, that bent the knee?
Oh, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, he never came back after that.
No.
So Kyrie, I didn't know if he was going to, do the same thing or not, and then maybe do movies and spread awareness afterwards after he's like retired from the NBA. But he didn't want to go that route, so he had to do what he had to do to get back in the NBA.
Right. Right. And I'm not mad at him, but one thing I can say, I'm glad that you got that publicity, because there is no doubt when you watch the documentary, both parts, and if you haven't seen volume 2, you absolutely, that's a must see. You must see volume 2.
Yeah.
And you know it blew me away. It was so much information, especially in the second volume. It was, and that one's 2.5 hours, so it's not
Hmm.
quite as long as the first volume, but
Hmm.
you definitely have to see it. And I have to ask you, are you working on projects for the other books?
Yeah, of course. I'm working on part 3,
Mm-hmm.
called Hebrews to Negroes 3, Sound the Alarm. It's called Sound the Alarm,
Okay.
and that movie is going to be uh, probably 2 to 3 hours long, and it's going to cover a lot of stuff that's going to make people upset.
Yeah, well, they're already upset. they're, they're already upset. How much more upset can they be?
Yeah,
But you know what? When you talked
they
about
put a
the
whole.
celebrities getting a hold, do you know? Um, and I don't even know if I told my subscribers this. I might have said something. Prince was watching me, and I
Well,
saw
really?
the name, and I said, "Is this the Prince?" And
Wow,
right after he died, I never saw any more signs of him coming back to my channel. I think it really
wow,
was him.
wow! That's crazy.
I mean, you never know who's watching you.
You
You
don't
just
know.
you just don't know. It was amazing, but yeah, I saw his name, and it must have been maybe almost a year before he passed.
Hmm.
A year, and I saw it a couple of times, and I said, I don't know if that's him or somebody just using that name. And then when he passed on, and I never seen him pop up on my channel again.
Mm.
So yeah, I do, and I know mainstream news watches me, because there are a few times I've done stories, and then the very next day they would do the same story saying almost the same things I said.
The same verbiage, yeah.
Yeah,
That's how you
and I'm
know.
like, this ain't no coincidence. They're
Yeah,
watching.
yeah,
They are
yeah.
watching. So,
Yeah.
you said your father was a minister, a
Pastor. He's a
pastor.
pastor.
Is he
Yeah,
still out there, or he's not?
yeah. He still pastors. COVID-19 uh dismantled a lot of things, but he's still pastoring. Maybe not in a physical setting because of COVID. But he still uh does sermons on Facebook, and he goes to places and preaches, and he's still active in the church. So yeah, he's still there doing his thing.
Okay. So I know, um, being that it was sort of a mixed bag about your documentary, I'm sure you got some positive feedback, and I'm sure you didn't,
Hmm.
from some people.
Hmm.
How did that make you feel?
Well, people that have negative feedback, I really don't care. I don't care what they say. They can do a video saying blacks are not the Jews. Hebrews to Negroes movie is trash. Hebrews to Negroes movie
Hmm.
is pseudo. Is full of lies. it's poorly done, no research. They can say all these things, but
But
I just
you know
laugh.
something, Ronald, though? Bad publicity is still, in a sense, good
No,
because it's
I know.
still going to pique people's curiosity. Okay, well, what did you hate about it? I'm going to go watch it. You'd be
Exactly.
surprised how people will look at a reaction and be like, okay, well, what are they so angry about? Let me go over there and take a look at this. A lot
Yeah.
of
So
people think like that.
yeah, and that has caused a lot of curiosity, and I just look at the video count, and I say, okay, well, people are listening to this video. Maybe they believe, maybe they don't believe, but I'm sure they're gonna be curious to find out why does this lady or man say that the movie is trash, and they did they did a review on it, uh, breaking it down, chapter by chapter. And I just look at that and say, well, at least more people know about the book and the movie now,
Right,
whether they get it or not, and whether they believe it or not. They still have taken the time to invest in buying the book or the movie, and whether they want to keep the information and use it, or they want to look at everything and say, I'm throwing this in the trash.
right.
I didn't get anything out of this movie, so I just lost $9. So that's them. That's their chance that they take when they watched it. But more people have actually had good comments about it than bad comments, and that's
Yeah.
why you
And
look at
you're getting comments from both Hebrews and Gentiles.
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's exactly what is supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Hebrews, and I mean, look, we're going to have the Gentiles that are cleaving on to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you feel? And I don't know if you ever touched on this. How do you feel about the divisions that are among the black groups, like some of the Hebrews and the Africans, and then you have some of these Africans that'll come here and call us Akata and or look down on us because we were enslaved. And I worked with a man, and we actually became really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
He was from Sierra Leone,
Yeah.
and he told me when he was going through his naturalization classes, he was told right there in class by his teacher to stay away from the Black Americans. Don't come near us. Don't talk. Just stay away from us. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard things like that before?
Yeah. I have a friend. He's a Shanti from Ghana, and he was told the same thing when he came here to America. He had to get the classes, and they told him in the classes, don't associate with black people in America. Don't make friends with them. They're dangerous. They lie, they steal, they're lazy. You can't trust them. He told me this out of his own mouth.
Yeah,
So division is why they are able to conquer and rule over us, because we're divided and we don't know that we are actually related to each other. We're actually have
right.
more in common than we think.
Yeah, the
And
Africans are our cousins.
yeah, down to the DNA. But a lot of this has to be brought forth so they understand that just because you're uh, Ghanaian or Nigerian or Togolese or Benin or Cameroonian or Congolese or South African or Kenyan, that we're not different. We may have different cultures and traditions because we've been Americanized, but we are still related to you. You're related to us, down to the DNA. Our DNA is the same, so
Right.
we have a common ancestral forefather, whether you like it
Hmm.
or not, and whether you want to believe it or not. That ancestral forefather goes back to Jacob and the Israelites. That's the reason why in many of the cultures in Africa, the traditions and the customs are basically what you see in the Old Testament, in the Torah. These laws, statutes, and commandments that you guys are keeping, it's what the Israelites were keeping back in the day.
Right.
And you know, when they hear that, they're like, "Well, no, we're not Israelites. We're Africans. I'm Igbo. I'm Nigerian.
Yes.
I'm Ghanaian." And I'm like, "Well, but there's no man in Ghana. in the Bible that had children called Ghanaians. There's no man in the Bible named
Exactly.
Igbo that had children called the Igbos. But these are newer terms that we're using right now. But we had to go back to the beginning, go back to 3 to 4 thousand years ago. These words didn't exist. Zambia and Congo, it didn't exist 4,000 years ago. So you know, it's hard to accept these things because of colonization and these boundaries and these names that they place on us.
Mm-hmm.
Africans, African Americans, Jamaicans, Haitians, Bahamians. These are like our identifiers now. Even the word Christian now. My identity is Christian. You'll see a lot of black people say, well, who are you? What are you? I'm a Christian. That's
Mm-hmm.
who I am. But that's not that tells the person what religion you follow, but what is your ethnicity and heritage, what's your lineage.
Right.
And then they can't say that my ethnicity and lineage is Christian, because then you have to say, well, was there a man in the Bible named Christian or Christ that had children called Christians? And then they'll say no, of course not. So education is what needs to happen to start to break down these barriers of division,
Right.
and people have to be willing to listen and understand and then accept it. Many people are not
Right.
going to accept this information.
And the thing is, in the kingdom, when it says when we finally make it into the kingdom, there'll be no divisions between the Hamites and the Israelites. In fact, the
Mhm.
Hamites are going to be our closest allies when we get, so some people just find it hard to believe, I guess, because they see so many divisions. They can't imagine it ever being different, but it will eventually be different. We're not
Yeah,
going to always be divided.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I really do. I think that there's something about each one of the cultures. If we were able to communicate, we could learn a lot better. And we wouldn't be so fast to dismiss things about them or them dismissing things about us, you
Right,
know?
right.
So when you put the documentaries together, how long did it actually take you, like, to put that first volume together?
It took 3 years, three
Wow.
whole years. Yep, constantly going to the studio. Um,
And I saw your second volume. You actually were in Africa.
the second movie,
Did you
not that
go?
one.
Did you
No,
go? Which one was it? The first one?
no. That I didn't go to Africa until uh early this year.
Oh,
So
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay, okay. I just
yeah,
was under the impression you were there. Okay,
yeah.
well, there's nothing wrong with that. You went, right?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I went also in 2021, and then
uh-huh.
early this year I went too.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I know my friend from Sierra Leone, he wanted me to go back when his family was still there. And I forgot
Mhm.
what happened, but I did not ever go back, but he invited me to go back.
Mhm.
And you know how people would they have all the diamond mines and everything in Africa. And you know what
Mhm.
he told me? He said the diamond mine is in my backyard. He said I
Right.
literally can push my hand down in the earth and pull up a fistful of diamonds. He said
Right.
that's how much Africa is rich with
Right.
diamonds. He said people can walk in their backyard and dig up a bunch of diamonds. That's how
Right.
much is there in that land.
Mhm.
And he
Yep.
was telling me about that, where he was in Sierra Leone. He said, we got diamonds all the time. You
Mhm.
walk in your yard and you can have diamonds.
Mhm. You're right.
It's just amazing. It is amazing. So, also on your journey, and I know you're talking to your children. How do your children feel about this whole thing, having the knowledge that we are Hebrews? What kind of feedback do you get from them?
Um, they don't. They don't. They're so young. They don't know what's going on.
Okay.
The one that's 18. She sees it, but she's in school, so she's not like really paying attention to everything. She's just like, wow, that's all she said was wow, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it feel to you? What do you think when you hear, um like, let's say you were with or around Europeans and you talk about the Jews and they're like, no, 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 no. The Jews are white. They are white. What do you say to that?
Um, hold on. My wife is texting me.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait, 1 second. Hold on. Be right back.
Okay. To everybody in the chat, thank you for the super chats and the super stickers. I do see them, but we're just trying to get through the interview. But thank you for your donations.
You talking about when the people say the Jews are white?
Yes.
I mean, I just I like to bring them back to the basics and
Mhm.
ask them if we have been living in America for 400 years, and if all we had to mix with was white people for 400 years, then if we left America after 400 years, we would not look the same. Um, Especially if we came here dark skinned and all we did was mix with Europeans. And I said that I would say well, the 12 sons of Jacob, when they came into Egypt, they had one sister, Dinah, and they had their mothers and they had their aunties because Jacob had 4 wives. And not all the wives were the mothers of the Israelites, because there were 12 sons. And
Mhm.
some of them had, the mother was Zilpah, some of them the mother was Bilhah, some of them the mother was Rachel, and some of them the mother was Leah. And so, technically you could call each woman mom, but you know, she could be considered something else. But anyway, when you look at these things, you'll see that the Israelites, when they went to Egypt, they had to have procreated with other women, other than Dinah, their sister,
Right.
and their mothers and their grandmothers and their aunties. So at the end of the day, if they're in Egypt and Egypt is right next to Sudan or Kush, and Libya put is next door, and the land of Canaan is in another area, then we know that the Israelites would have had to have mixed with the daughters of the Egyptians and the Cushites. Moses' wife was a Cushite, and Joseph's wife was an
Joseph.
Egyptian.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and so when we look at these things, we got to ask ourselves, well, how could the Israelites become a nation when they left? And they were 600,000 to 1 million strong when they left the Exodus. At least the Bible says that the men that were able to be in the army, they were like 600,000, and that's not including women and children. So how could the Israelites stay in Egypt for a particular period of time of maybe 3 to 4 generations and then leave and not be melanated?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
these things.
You know what? Speaking of Rachel and Leah, do you know I didn't know they were twins until I read the book of Jasher?
Yeah,
Those,
yeah,
those women were twins.
Laban was their father.
And Leah was the firstborn, and Rachel was born second. That's why
Yeah,
he was like, "No, she got to be married first."
exactly.
And I
Yeah,
thought maybe she was just older, but they were actually twins. I mean, it's just amazing some of the stuff you find out.
yep, yep. So yeah, these are simple questions that I ask people. I said, what color were the original Egyptians? What color were the original Cushites?
I mean, it's
Uh,
on the Egyptian wall, right?
yeah, it's on the Egyptian wall. And then nobody wants to answer these questions. The archaeologists like to go into Egypt and Nubia, and they like to try to justify that these ancient skulls are representative of the modern day white Arabs today in Egypt, and they find out based on the archaeology and the genetics and everything in terms of the skull analysis that these people are more connected to black people than modern day white people or modern day white Arabs, and
Right.
they act perplexed and confused when they get the results back from the guy that's running all the tests, and they're like, well, we thought that the ancient Nubians and the Cushites and the Egyptians were more akin to modern day Egyptians today, and actually the research shows us that we are actually wrong, and that they were more what you would consider black people,
Right.
and so these are all things that people seem to ignore when they talk about the color of the Hebrews when they were in Egypt, and how Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian by the daughters of Midian, and Joseph was able to stand by his other Egyptian fellow parts while his brothers were there, and they didn't know who Joseph was. They just knew that this man is standing there and he's not talking. He has an interpreter, but yet we're standing right in front of our brother all this time and didn't even know it.
Right.
So there's many passages in the Bible where the Israelites are mistaken for the Egyptians,
Yes,
and
that's in there. Absolutely.
yeah, so if we can prove that the Egyptians were not Ashkenazi Jewish looking people, then what makes us think that the Ashkenazi Jews and the Sephardic Jews were the ones that were in Egypt with Moses when they left the Exodus? So these are all. I mean, it's really when you really use critical thinking and logic, and common sense. You could. I mean, there's white people that don't have to watch the movie Hebrews and Negroes. They just know from their level of understanding of the Bible and just the world that they know that the Hebrews were black, and
Yeah. You
they'll
know
say
what?
to us like, how come you guys don't know this?
Right.
I've
You
known
know
this.
what? You know what's really funny? When I was a child, our classes, when I was in Philadelphia, we would go to the Museum of Natural Sciences over in Philadelphia. It would be like
Mhm.
a class field trip. And there was a section in there with Egyptian mummies, right? So you're looking at them, the outside of the sarcophagus, right? The face is painted brown, and everything. And then you're looking at the Egyptians. And I had a white teacher say to me, and I was like, well, the sarcophagus got a black face on it. Oh, no, they weren't black. And I'm looking at the sarcophagus, and you can't tell from the Egyptian because it's so old and it's wrapped and everything. But I'm like, if it came out of that sarcophagus, how could they be white? But she was literally telling us that mummy was not black and
Yeah,
that paint probably changed over time to brown. And I was like,
no.
that doesn't make any. Now I know this woman was full of crap, but that's what she stood there and told us. And we're looking
Well,
at the outside of the sarcophagus, and everyone had a brown face.
well, not even that. When you are in med school or PA school, like myself, we take gross anatomy lab in the mortuary science building, or they have the dead bodies, and the mortuary science majors are there as well. And we see dead bodies that are been there for a while, white, black, any race. And typically, when black people die, they look darker when they're
Mm-hmm.
dead on the table. And when white people die, because they have no blood inside of them, then they look more pale because there's no blood running through their veins, and it's just a corpse.
Yeah.
So whatever melanin that you had or didn't have in your skin, now it's going to be less less pronounced because the blood that's underneath your skin that's actually has color in it, was red as a color. It's
Right.
not giving it your face that extra added complexion.
But you
But
know what? You're right. My mother was probably your complexion. When my mom died, she darkened up. In fact,
yeah,
when she was getting to that stage where her life was about to end, she darkened up.
exactly. And so when you look at the
She
when you look
did.
at the sarcophagus, yeah, because when you look at the sarcophagus of the mummies that are inside these tombs in Egypt, you will open it up and see that they are black.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Mm-hmm.
brown black skin. You can look at their fingernails. You can look at their ear. You can look at their hair. You can look at their nose. You can look at their toes, and you can
Right.
see they have melanin in their skin. They're black. They're not white. And this is what you can look with your own eyes. And so
Mm-hmm.
the way they appear as a mummified body, because the mummies still have skin. They
Right.
don't, it's not the skeleton, it's the skin, because they mummified the body. So when you see the skin of the actual pharaohs of Egypt, like Moses the Third and Akhenaten and Ramses and different people, you can see that they were people of color that
Right.
you might look at and identify them as people that
And,
we will see in the Horn of Africa.
and then they had part of, in the museum, they had part of the Egyptian wall. And
Hmm.
you could clearly see the women with braids. And I looked at her, I said, I never seen, I told her, and it was back then, there was no Bo Derek and all that back then. And I was like, I only see that on black women. I don't see no hair like that on white women, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, she was really going hard on us, telling us those were white people.
Hmm.
And nothing on the wall looked white. Not one single thing.
Right. So it's just a lot of miseducation going on in the world today, and look who is controlling our education. In
Yes.
school and in religion, we're not being educated by our people. It's other ruling nations and colonizers. So
Right.
you have to you know understand that they're not going to teach you the truth. They're going to teach you what they want they want to teach you. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody said they even decapitate the faces. Yeah, they usually will knock off the noses. And
Hmm.
to me, even when you knock off the nose, you still got them same full lips. There's still other, and the cheekbones, there's still other indicators on the face that tell you that's not a white person.
Hmm. Yes.
Even knocking, I can still tell, even with the nose off. I'm looking at the mouth, I'm looking at the eyes, the cheekbones. I mean, you can still see other indicators,
Hmm. Yep.
you know?
Yep. You're
So,
right.
have you come across any Africans that gave you feedback about your documentary or your books? And what do they think?
They say it's spot on, and they say that we need more of this teaching in Africa. And one guy, he said, I need to talk to the African Union, and I need to get over to Africa ASAP and let the people know our identity, our ancestry. And this is a guy from Ethiopia, one of the, I think it was from the Amhara tribe. So people, in Ghana and Tanzania and South Africa and Congo, in Nigeria, they've been seeing this thing that's going on the news with Kyrie Irving, and they
Hmm.
have watched the movie, they've read the books, and they're like, when can you come to our country, and we'll help you spread the word to our people, because our people need to know this. Roman Catholic Church Christianity or Catholicism, the Seventh Day Adventists, the Mormons, the churches are in Africa, they're not teaching this. The pastors, whether they're
Wow.
white or black, they're not teaching us these things. They're teaching us, the same thing you guys being taught in America. Jesus is white, the Jews are white, and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are white, and perhaps we're Hamites, and we're under the curse of Canaan or the curse of Ham, and this is what they're being taught. And I said, well, brother, I said, I am on the way. I'm on the way to hitting these countries and spreading the word and having translators if I need to in French and Portuguese and Swahili, uh, Lingala, so we can get this information out to the people, because the people, how can they learn unless they've been taught or a
Right.
teacher sent to teach them?
So,
So
have you had any viewings of your documentary in Africa?
not yet, but it's coming. Not yet, but it's
Okay.
coming in 2023. It's coming. Trust
Oh,
me.
okay.
I'm already
Yeah.
working on it.
Okay. Well, that's good. Um, I mean, Have you ever tried to get it on something like Netflix?
Yeah, but the distribution companies, they they don't have to do anything. You can say, I'm gonna pay you the money to get my movie on Vudu and Netflix and Redbox, and they can try. They can try wholeheartedly, and they can take your money, and they can say that we tried, but then they could say, unfortunately, they declined to publish a movie for whatever reason, and this is what I've been experiencing for the last 3 years, 4 years since the movie came out, is that no matter if you have a distribution company or an independent distribution company that helps with getting your film distributed on Netflix and Vudu and Redbox and Tubi and all these different platforms, or if you have a sales agent or aggregator, there's gatekeeping going on in all three
Yeah, I'm
levels.
sure there is.
There's gatekeeping.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
gatekeepers won't allow you to get through, even if you try the sales agent route, the aggregator route, and the distribution company route, because there's distribution companies that are smaller than, like Sony, Apple, MGM, Bleecker Street, Robot. There's a lot of different ones they got out there. You look at the movies that will come out today in Hollywood, and just Google them and scroll down and see who's the distribution company that's
yeah.
allowing us to see the movie. Who's the producers of the movie? You'll see a host of different names, and usually, if you Google the founder or the CEO or the president or the chairman, you'll see that they are Jewish. So all the slave movies, most of the slave movies, like Amistad, 12 Years a Slave, what's the other one that they had?
You know what?
Eman-
The funny part is they had Harriet Tubman, right?
yeah, that too,
And
Harriet.
then they had a character in there called Bigger Long, a black man that was a slave catcher. And we know that didn't exist, but it's okay for them to put discrepancies that we clearly know are not true in something, but you got something that's real factual and they're upset about it.
Well, that's the thing. The Harriet, I'm gonna start 12 Years a Slave. Even the movie Emancipation coming out with Will Smith, the distribution companies and the subsidiary companies that they're working under, the CEO is Jewish. But when we put out movies and the Jews say, well, this is not true, this is misinformation, it needs to be canceled or shut down or removed, then they have the power to do so. But when we see movies that depict us in a negative light and are not accurate, then nothing happens with those movies,
Right.
and we have to continuously see movies that are hurtful and sensitive to the black community.
And
Nobody
you're
wants.
and think about the publications, the Turner Report. I mean, look at the stuff out there that depict us even on something like Amazon. I remember how traumatized I was as a child, and I saw in a book, the corpse of Emmett Till. And I
Mhm.
remember, how your mom back in the day would be in the kitchen straightening her hair. My mother was in there with the hot comb, and I came across Emmett Till. And I looked at the picture, and it was so hurtful seeing a
Mhm.
14-year-old laying in the coffin, all mutilated. And I remember I
Mhm.
went down and I said, Mom, have you ever heard of Emmett Till? And she was like, Yes. She said, I remember when that whole thing happened. And then she explained it to me. But do you know how hurtful it is for us to see lynched men,
Yeah.
and or mutilated bodies of our forefathers? My family comes out of Georgia. My father came from a place called Ocilla, Georgia.
Mhm.
My mother came out of a place called Fitzgerald, Georgia.
Mhm.
When we were small, my brother and I, we would go down there. My grandmother would hide the newspaper because back then, Ronald, they were still tar and feathering Black people down in that area. So she
Wow.
would hide the pictures in the newspaper. She didn't want us to be traumatized by it. But we
Yeah.
would find the papers and look at the pictures. And I just remember it would be a black man tarred and feathered in the street with a sign on his neck. And I would, and I came out of Philadelphia. We never saw that in the city of Philadelphia, but down south, they would put that on the front page of the newspaper.
Yep.
And I was traumatized by it. I just couldn't understand why would they do that. And that's when I had to begin to understand what racism was just from looking at that.
Hmm.
And so, okay, so what are you saying? Your trauma is greater than ours?
Exactly.
I
Our
mean,
our
so what are
trauma
you
does not
saying?
our trauma does not matter because they will say that anything that promotes hatred or prejudice or whatever it is, that because these things are traumatizing and hurtful to our people.
Right,
And what do you think that a child or a young adult is going to think when he watches a movie and the slave master is continuously whipping this woman, this butt naked woman or man, until the flesh is coming off his back or her back? They're gonna be they're gonna think that the white race does not like black people,
right, right,
and that this is how they feel about us even to this day.
right.
Even movies where we see, uh, segregation, Jim Crow, lynching, people calling black people niggers and monkeys in the street, and stuff like that. That makes you traumatized. And
Yeah,
so these are movies that are portraying hatred against another people. So
exactly. And
how
and
come?
and we've met these people. When I come across, for example, a white person that'll say to me, slavery was a long time ago. That was hundreds of years ago. You know how some of them will talk to us, right?
Yeah,
Ronald, slavery really was not that long ago at all.
no.
My mother and my father grew up in the 30s. They told me those former slaves lived all around them. They saw them as children. My father said they even went to church with some of them. They were up
Hmm.
in age, but
Hmm.
he said, I saw them. I saw them, and a lot of them were old and elderly. My grandparents knew some of them. And I said, okay, so in order for you to see these slaves
Hmm.
when you were a child, then a lot of people had to see them. And
Yeah.
they said, yeah, a lot of people did see them. But they were saying, in the 1930s, when they were growing up as children, they saw these former slaves. They
Hmm.
saw them. They were living all around them in the South.
Hmm.
So, how do you sit in my face and tell me slavery was hundreds of years ago? So, that had to be what, 5, 6 generations, maybe 7 generations back? That's not
Hmm.
that long.
Yeah. Not even that. It could be
Yeah.
maybe 4 generations.
Right. So that's not
Yeah.
that long. And I don't know if you ever met people like this. You might have. My grandmother had a friend, and this friend was blind. And I thought maybe she was just blind by birth. Well, come to find out, when I was 16 years old, one of my uncles passed away. And we went down south to the funeral. And my grandmother and her friends, they would just sit on the porch and talk all day. So I was on the porch and I just had to ask her. I said, have you always been blind? She said, no. Guess how she became blind, Ronald? A white man raped her. A white man kicked in the door, came in the house, raped her. The reason why she became blind is because she fought back this night. She decided to fight back.
Hmm.
He took his 2 fingers and pushed them in her eyes so deep she lost her vision.
Wow.
By the time this woman told me this, I was in tears. I remember
Mm,
just sitting on the porch crying. And she said, "Oh, I'm okay, honey. That was a long time ago." And she says, "I don't want you to feel sorry for me." But that right there told me how real it was
mhm,
for our women, how many of
mhm,
them were raped. And one distinctive thing I noticed too, her firstborn was biracial. All the
mhm,
rest of her children were black. And that was
mhm.
another thing I saw around the South. And I did not know at that time that was the result of rape,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know? And they don't realize we have seen these people. We have interacted with these people. Some of these people may be in your family, or you might have indirectly heard about some
You're
of the
right.
things that happened. And
You're
and
absolutely
we
right.
we have we have seen these things. So when you say something was a long time ago, it really wasn't that long.
No, no. We all have family members that have been through that, or ashamed to talk about it. You ask them, well, grandma, why are you light? Or
Yeah.
why your daddy look kind of light skinned? Is he half white? They don't want to talk about it.
No.
They don't talk about it. They want to talk about the history that they know, that they don't want
Yeah, it's
to
very
acknowledge that.
hurtful.
Yeah, they don't want to acknowledge that there was some white in their bloodline because of rape. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just remember seeing that firsthand. And boy, I mean, there's just so much more. And, you know, there was another big write up. My grandfather, back in the 60s, um, he got abused by a drunk white man back then. And my grandfather fought back. And the Klan, and this is how I knew the Klan and the police were connected. The Klan and the police showed up at the house looking for my grandfather. Now, I wasn't there, but my father had to go down south because we were in Philadelphia. He had to go down south and get my grandfather. And I just can't, I just can't fathom what he had to go through. But my father had to talk to the Klan to get his father out of that whole thing.
Mm.
And he was able to do it. And what they had to agree was to get them out of town, and he was never allowed to come back. So he
Wow.
did. He got him out of there.
Hmm.
So so when they try to act like they're so deeply hurt, it is almost, I'm not going to say it's laughable, but I just don't like the idea that you think your hurt is greater than the hurt that we have felt or
Hmm.
gone through in our lifetime.
Hmm. Yep.
you know it's just unbelievable. So what does the future look like for Ronald Dalton? So like, what direction do you want to take this education that you're providing us? What level do you want to go to next with it?
Well, since I've been in America for the last, you know, 6 to 8 years, teaching this,
Hmm.
promoting it, spreading the word, prior to Kyrie doing his thing. Um, you know, I have a lot of connections in Africa, and I was there in 2021 in Ghana with the Beyond the Return Festival. This was after the year of return in 2019,
Hmm.
and then COVID hit in 2020, and in 2021 we had another they had another festival called the Beyond the Return. So I was there with about 50 African Americans, and that was life changing. And the next year I went to South Africa,
Hmm.
and a lot of people in Africa, uh, all over, they're ready, they're hungry. They've been independently researching this Hebrew awakening thing is happening right now, and they're just waiting on the opportunity to assist in spreading this into their city, their village, where they grew up at, their elders, their family, because they noticed that the further generations that come about, they are losing more touch with their ancient traditions and customs
Mm-hmm.
and their history, and the different church organizations like the Seventh Day Adventists and the Mormons and the different churches are really telling them, don't worry about your identity. God is love. He loves everybody. Just be good people. And, we're all one. We all bleed the same blood. It's red. And you don't need to know who you are. And I've asked people in South Africa, like the Uber drivers, the Ubers. And I say, well, uh, who are you? And they'll say, well, I'm Zulu, or I'm Petty, or Swana, or Sotho. And I say, well, uh, according to the Bible, who do you descend from? Because Noah had three sons. And I said, Ham, Shem, and Japhet. And they say, well, I don't know. And I said, your pastor didn't teach you this? And they say, the pastor doesn't talk about these things. And I said, well, why not? And he said, it's not important. I said, well, who are the Jews today? And he
Mm-hmm.
said, those are God's chosen people, like in the Bible. I said, like King Solomon, King David? He said, yes. And I said, what color are they? And he said, you see them out here in South Africa. They're white. You can see them. And you haven't seen them yet? I said, yeah, I've seen them. And I said, well, what color is Jesus? He was a Jew, right? He says, yes, the Jesus is white. And I said, in your church that you go to, that's what the pastor teaches? And he says, yes, Jesus is white. The Jews are white. They're here.
Wow. Wow. In a place like Africa, huh?
Yeah. And so I said, well, who are you? And the guy says, I don't know. I heard something about the curse of Ham in Canaan. I said, so are you a Canaanite? And he said, I don't know. And and so I said, well, brother, I said, when we stop, I'm gonna show you some things, and I want you to listen and just take what I'm gonna give you and study it. And when they see and hear the things I'm telling them, they're sitting there quiet, like thinking, and
Mm-hmm.
they're
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, what's your name again? They be like, where are you from? They're like, what do you do again? And I'm like, I'm a book author, I'm a filmmaker. They're like, are you here? Do you have a church? Are you teaching this anywhere? I'm like, I will be soon. Like, bro, man, this is a lot. I want to know more. I want to know more. Like, and so they're hungry. They're
Yeah, they
hungry.
are.
Nobody's coming into their church to teach this stuff.
Right.
The pastors actually in the church in South Africa, they are scared and defensive on letting myself and others get into the church and start to teach the congregation, which in some cases is white, black, East Indian. It's all races, and you'll see a lot of races in South Africa. You'll see the Indians, you'll see the Arabs, the Chinese, the Jews, the Europeans,
Mm-hmm.
blacks. So everybody's they're a Christian, they're going to church, and the pastor is not teaching this breakdown that you guys are the descendants of the
Oh,
Israelites.
okay, I got somebody in the chat, Brew Queen Yesrael, saying that somebody is in Clubhouse pretending to be you.
that's I'm not surprised, but there's a lot of imposters now. There's
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot of
getting that stuff too.
a lot of fake YouTube channels that are supposed to be Hebrews to Negroes, and they're not. A lot of people
Right.
are uh, creating Instagram accounts that says Hebrews to Negroes. Ron Dalton.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Boy, you're really getting around, huh?
yeah. So I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna find out if that's true and see. I mean, what are they saying, and how they trying to masquerade as me on
Hmm.
Clubhouse.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got one that keeps putting these text phone numbers up and saying, "Oh, come contact me, or just text me." I don't go out anywhere and put something like that up. So that's why I
There-
had to tell my subscribers, don't fall for that. I would
there- there-
never tell you
there's
to text me.
there's actually a guy that started a GoFundMe for Hebrews to Negroes 3, the movie, for a
Wow.
fundraiser. And I said, brother, I said, you started a GoFundMe campaign for the third movie fundraiser. And I said, but whose bank account is it going into? Is it your bank account or is it my bank account? Like, how are you going to have people donate to fund the third movie? And it's a real GoFundMe campaign. It says Hebrews Negroes 3 fundraiser for the movie. And I'm like, brother, I said, what's going on here? Like,
Wow.
Like, is this a ploy to get people to donate to your GoFundMe because they think it's me?
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, more than likely. Or sometimes they're trying to do it so people will, think, oh, well, he's a fraud. He's asking me for money for this movie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's nothing like that at all. So do you ever contact the people? Because we got a lot of Hebrews also in South America, and also the Caribbean. Have you ever tried to reach those areas as well?
Yeah. We're actually trying to show the movie in the Caribbean, like do a tour, like in Trinidad and in the Bahamas and Barbados and Jamaica. I got some friends that are filmmakers out there, and I'm gonna give them the the film so they can actually show it there. And I don't have to fly everywhere. I don't have to fly to the Bahamas and Jamaica and Haiti. They can do it and on my behalf because I got a lot of stuff going on right now. I can't be everywhere
Right.
like the president of the United States. So
Mm-hmm.
that costs money, and I'm not. I don't have Kyrie Irving or Kanye West money
I hear you.
for a private
I
jet.
know.
If I had a private jet, maybe I could do that, but I don't have a private jet right now.
And not just yet, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're
All
working on
right.
that in South America. I got some people from Brazil and from uh, Suriname, which is Dutch Guyana, and then also Guyana, and I forgot the other country, but they've been contacting me as well, trying to get the movie, show them down there, try to get it translated in different languages. But Dutch is I don't have it translated into Dutch. I got subtitles in French, Portuguese, and Spanish, but not
Mhm.
Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I want to do is show your websites, and then you can tell us about these websites because I got the three that you gave me. All right, so let me
Mhm.
see if I can share these. Okay. All right, here's the. Let me see. Where's the tab? All right, I think I got it now.
You got
What's that?
no, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Here's one. Can everybody see this? All right, I think I got it now. All right, hold on here. What's that? I think I know what I'm getting the feedback here. Here's one. Can everybody see this? All right, I think I got it now. All right. Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah.
That is the Amazon right there. I'm getting the feedback here. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can take care of this. I think I might have a couple of these sessions open. There we go. So I know that is the Amazon. That's not the one I want though. Let me see here. Stop that. And let me try one more time here. Okay.
I think you had it up before.
Yeah, I think I did too. All right, so it's this one. Yep. All right. Can everybody see the screen? It says Hebrews to Negroes TV. It's got the lion with a crown. Do you see that?
I can't see it.
You
I
can't. Okay.
can't see it.
Okay, hold on. Let's see, entire screen. We'll get this. Let me just go to entire screen. We'll do it that way. All right. Does everybody see that now?
I don't see anything.
You still
Just
don't
me and
see
you.
it. Window.
You had it. You had it up the first time.
No, still not yet. Okay. That's okay. Let me just try one more time. Cancel this. Share. No. Okay. Can you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So this is one of your websites, H2N TV.com.
Yeah, H2NTV.com.
Yes.
H the number 2 NTV.com. That's a streaming platform that has a lot of my movies, all the movies except for the first movie. The first movie, the Jews and the ADL must have contacted the platform and they took it down. They took down the first movie, but I got a backup plan for that.
Okay.
So on this platform, the H2N space TV app is available on Amazon, Fire Stick, and Roku. And we're working on iOS and Android as we speak for those that are in Africa that don't have Roku. They do have Amazon Fire Stick in South Africa, but in the rest of Africa, they don't have the Roku and I think the Amazon Fire Stick. But iOS and Android, we're working on that, so you can download the app and get right to h2ntv.com. And if you click on, I don't know if you want to do that or not. If you click on browse, where it says browse,
Right here.
yeah, you'll see a lot of the content,
Oh, yeah.
different categories that I have, and there's music and a lot more on there too. Ditching Babylon means ditching America and moving to Africa.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
If you click on show more, if you click on show
Uh-huh.
more, right down there, well, you go back down,
Go
go
back
back down.
down. Okay.
You see where it says show more, that little button.
Yes. Yep. I
You
see
click on
that.
that, and then it opens up more categories, and
Mm-hmm.
you keep going down. You'll see all the different ones, music and Hebrew history and coming a diaspora. About those that are interested in relocating to Africa or visiting Africa with different tour groups that we have. And then the video on demand section at the bottom, way at the bottom, is where you can see some of the movies uh, that I did, as well as others, like Joseph
Oh, yeah.
and the Curse of Israel, Part 1 and Part 2, Revelation, The Age of the Awakening, the one that you probably saw on Amazon.
Yes, I did see that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's that. People can sign up to that. It's $9 a month or
Mm-hmm.
$9.99 a month, and we're constantly adding content onto there. Uh, so this content is not going to be affected by YouTube. YouTube, they can just tell you what they're going to take down, what they're not going to take down. And I get tired of these community strikes and misinformation strikes, and it makes no point to make a 3 hour long educational video just for YouTube to possibly take it down, or
Right.
somebody take it down. So these are movies that are based on educating, edifying, and empowering our people. And obviously, we're not talking about the Holocaust or Adolf Hitler in these videos. So these videos are just about us and our people and waking our people up.
Yes. Yes. All right. So let's let's see, let me get the next website up. Here's this one,
Oh
Hebrews
yeah.
to Negro, seek the truth.
Yeah. So that is another streaming site that we had to create that is outside of the jurisdiction of the Jews in the ADL. So they could take down a movie from Amazon, the first movie, but if you still want to watch the first movie, you can go here and watch the first and the second movie, which are on Amazon right now until they take it down. And so if they do take it down from Amazon, and you say, "Well, I can't see it. I don't know how to get it," or those that are in Canada or United Kingdom or other countries, and they're saying, "Why can't we can't watch it over here in our country? We cannot get it on Amazon.com or Amazon.ca or Amazon.uk," and you're frustrated. You don't want to pay for the shipping of a DVD to United Kingdom, and it's going to cost $100 to ship a DVD United Kingdom. Then, if you want to stream it online and not worry about I can't get it on Amazon, then go
Right.
to Hebrews to Negroes TV.com. Hebrews to Negroes TV, just like
And
just like
you have to type the whole thing out.
yeah, you gotta type the whole thing out, um, especially in the URL box at the top, because Hebrews to Negroes will get you. If you type in Hebrews to Negroes in the Google search, you're gonna get a lot of Hebrews to Negroes stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I hear you.
you gotta go up to the URL at the top, and until like the I forgot what they call it, the search engine starts to populate these popular URLs. Then for that one, since it's brand new, you got to go to the URL at the top and then type the whole word out, and then you'll get to it.
All right, and then there's one final one. It's the Negro network.
Network.
I'm going to show
Yeah.
that one. Okay, so we got one more to show you. Let's see here. I'm going to put it here. Yeah, that's the one I have to show. This one.
Yeah. So that I've had this for probably since 2015. This is
Okay.
old. But it's the main website that I have. You can buy the books. You can buy the DVDs. You can click on shop. If you click on shop, you'll see the different DVDs and books, and then go back to home page again, or go back to just refresh it, I guess, or go back to about us. Maybe that's a
About
good.
us. Okay.
Yeah. Or no, go refresh it. Just go to the refresh button. Refresh at the top, so I can go back to the home page if it does that or not.
Sure. Let me
Okay,
see if I
go
can.
back one more time. One more time. Okay, so if you scroll down, you'll see that I also do Zoom webinars,
Oh, yeah, I
and
see that.
that's the last one I did like about a month ago. And the replay of all my Zoom webinars are on H2N So if you missed any of the Zoom webinars that we do, like this one right here, then you can go to www.h2ntv.com and you can see the video lesson that I'm breaking this down, this topic. And then if you go to go up to the top again.
Sure.
If you go up to and this site has the hyperlinks too. So wait, scroll down one more time. Scroll down.
One more
I'm gonna show
time.
people
Okay.
the hyperlinks that people can actually find out how to go directly to. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, so the hyperlinks, if you click on go up, go up, go up, go up.
Go up, go up. Okay.
Yeah. So if you click on stream on, I
Oh,
know
I
some,
see.
yeah,
Vimeo.
yeah, but some of them are taken down. But anyway, These are like the trailers. I had the hyperlinks, but I might have to put them back on there. Okay, so if you go back to the top, and you go to African tours tab,
Okay.
and coming to dashboard tours, coming a, and these are the different tours that we are affiliated with that are doing tours to Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Senegal. Myself, we're in South Africa. So we got the connection down there in neighboring countries, and then Maximum Impact Tours. He goes to Tanzania, he goes to Ethiopia, he goes to Ghana and other places. So those that are following me and they want to, visit Africa and be with people that know who I am and are affiliated with me, then you can link up with these guys. And if you tell
Okay.
them like Ron Dalton sent you, they're gonna say, "Oh, okay, yeah, we know Ron. He's good people." So now you're in good hands with people that we have vetted. We have a trusted relationship, and you don't have to worry about going on a tour and getting scammed,
Mm-hmm.
or paying money and getting on a plane and getting there. And you're like, where are they at? Like I just landed in Ghana and nobody's here to take me to my hotel, or we're just sitting in a hotel not doing anything. So you want to make sure that you go on reputable tour companies that understand our Hebrew roots and understand why we are even coming to Africa to visit and relocate. They
Yeah.
understand what I believe in. All those tour agencies, those tour groups, including the one that we're doing in South Africa. So, and of course, there's a donate tab for those that want to
Yeah.
uh, support in various methods while the ADL, the Jews, are trying to destroy and take down Hebrew Negroes everywhere.
That's what I was going to ask you about last. But okay, so that's good to know. So there's three different ways you can donate.
And actually, click on the Cash App, because I think that I gotta tell the guy to put the number two, but it might. Okay, see, when you click on that, that's the actual Cash App profile. Hebrews, the number two, Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you come out of there and then you go to GoFundMe, it should take you to the GoFundMe. Um, but I think that's an old one that I have from like many years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
that's like
That's an old one.
that's an old one. I don't know if it might be still active, but I have a new one, but I'll update that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, looks
Yes,
still active. And then
and
you have your
PayPal.
PayPal. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's there. I gotta update some things, but that's the main site that I have for people to go to.
Okay. Well, see, that's good. And what I'm going to do after this live stream is over, I'm going to pin his websites, all three of them, in the comment section. That way, everybody will have access to all of these websites. Now, my final question is, how do you feel about this paintbrush that especially the Jewish community is trying to paint about you and your work?
Um, well, that's a tactic that they use whenever uh somebody is going against their narrative.
Yeah.
And whenever you put out a book or movie that does not line up with what they believe and teach to the world, of course they're going to say this movie is anti-Semitic, because the movie is all about proving that we are the Israelites. If you watch the whole movie, which is 3.5 hours long, that movie is not all about the Holocaust. It's not about Henry Ford or Adolf Hitler. The bulk of the movie is proving that we are the Israelites. So to
Right.
discredit the movie so that people can look at it and say, I'm not touching the movie with a 10-foot pole. I'm not going to waste my time. Look at this movie because they already said in the reviews that it's anti-Semitic, it's misinformation, it's poorly done. They'll say everything that they can to just get you to just bypass it and not look for yourself and see
Yeah,
what is
I
about
had
to
I
do.
had a few of them. I had a few of them come to my comment section when I did the video on you, and one of them wrote, "I saw the documentary. It's nothing but a bunch of loud rap music and name calling." I was like, "You didn't
Oh
watch
my
that
God! Look,
documentary?" Of course, I
they didn't
blocked
watch it.
that person, but that's the kind of stuff they were coming to do.
Yeah, they that's the thing. We don't. It's a documentary, so it's not going to be about. It's not a documentary about the Holocaust. It's not a documentary about
No,
Adolf
it's
Hitler.
not.
It's a documentary, like I say, is Hebrews to Negroes, wake up, Black America. So to
Yeah,
discredit the movie,
what would be the purpose of having a movie called Hebrew to Negroes Wake Up Black America and it's all about the Holocaust? That doesn't even
exactly,
make any sense.
it's a tactic. It's a tactic to get people to not watch it. And notice on TV, on live TV, they always say anti-Semitic film and book. Anti-Semitic book was made first. That gave rise to the anti-Semitic film and book. They never say the name of the movie. They say by a filmmaker. They don't say black filmmaker, African American. They say filmmaker, anti-Semitic filmmaker made a book, and based off the book is the anti-Semitic film and book. Only person that said the name was David Chappelle. He said he moves to Negroes, and most people don't say the name. They're instructed by their in the morning when they get their briefing on what they're going to talk about today on the news. They probably get told, do not say the name of the movie, do not say the name of the filmmaker. What you need to do is say anti-Semitic film and book. That's all you got to say. Let
But
let
you know
let
what? Do
people.
they realize when you go on Amazon and you type Hebrew Israelites, there's like hundreds of books that come up on that topic.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, y'all, you go out there, it's hundreds of books. So I don't know, how do you determine this one is bad, but
Well,
what about all the other ones that are pretty much
well,
teaching the same thing?
that's the thing. They need to cancel tons of YouTube channels. They just start canceling hundreds of YouTube channels and books. There's books about a lot of this stuff. I'm not the only person who wrote a book about people
No,
liking real Jews.
no. And they don't even realize how long this has been around. When I was a child, we would go downtown Philadelphia. The Muslims would be on one corner, right? And they would be out on the streets teaching. And on the far other side of the corner were the Hebrew Israelites. You
Mhm.
know, I remember going downtown in Philadelphia and seeing the Hebrew Israelites when I was a little girl. I mean, this is nothing that just happened over the last decade. This has been going on for a long time.
There are books on Amazon right now that say black people are monkeys, that we
Yes.
are subhuman, we're beasts, we're animals, we're on the lowest scale of evolution. And they're on Amazon right now.
Birth of a nation. Birth of a nation.
Yeah,
Okay.
there
Yeah.
are,
I
and
mean,
nobody's saying Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, Amazon take down these books. The black community, we're not saying this is anti-black. They need to apologize. They need to take the book down. They, I find it amazing that we have the KKK. We got groups that see black people as like beasts and stuff like that, animals. But yet, even the Talmud, even Mein Kampf is on Amazon. There's a lot of stuff that's anti-Christian, that's anti-black, that's anti-whatever, but they are not calling for these books to be removed from Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble. But yet, this book has caused such a stir and such a commotion and such fear in the Jewish community, in the ADO community, that they have to take this book down so that you can't have access to it. This book should be like the book of Eli. Like we need to find this book, because this book is like, it's like treasure, because they don't want you to have it. It's like a secret. Just lock it up in a box, throw
you
it in a,
take you take this down, And the thing is, there's hundreds and hundreds of others on the topics of Hebrew Israelites out there. It's not like you pull up Ronald's and that's the only one there. So if
Right.
you eliminate that, you eliminated the problem. No, you really didn't.
No.
That's what I'm saying. You know? Okay, so you take his down, and then there's like pages and pages of other books.
Mm-hmm.
And those books, some of them have been out there for many years. Yours has
Mm-hmm.
been out there for what? Your book came out 8 years ago, right?
2014. Yep.
You know, I don't know. It just seems weird to me that you're crying about something that's already been out there for several years now.
Well, there's a book chain in South Africa. It's called Exclusive Books. Exclusive Books,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it's owned by Jewish people. But I went ahead and tried to submit my book to their bookstore that's all over South Africa, Botswana, and other countries. They're in the malls. They got an online presence, and they all decline. Like all like out of all the stores, you have to be nominated by I think at least 6 stores, and they all
Mm-hmm.
have to like read the book or go through it and say we approve this book to be sold at our store. If you get 6 stores that approve out of like the 40 stores that's out there, then they will allow you to have your book on their shelves, the physical shelves in the malls and on the online store. Not one store in South Africa approved the book. And if you go into these stores in South Africa, it's not like you go. It's not like you go to these stores and there's just no black people working there. It's black people working there. It's black
Yeah.
people working. It's black customers. The majority of the customers in these bookstores are black because the
Yeah.
majority of South Africa
Africa.
is black. But
Mm-hmm.
yet, in a black continent, in a country where the majority of the people in the bookstores are black,
Mm-hmm.
they, I don't know how this happened, but they all said no. And
Mm-hmm.
so at the end of the day, I'm still working on other ways to get the books um, printed out there. They have websites like takealot.com
Mm-hmm.
that's in South Africa that will deliver the book. I don't know how they get it. They must get it from the distribution companies in America or UK, and then they get it over there and they sell it. But there are ways around getting the book outside of Walmart, Target, Barnes and Nobles. Amazon still has it on there, and I'm wondering how long they're gonna hold out.
Mm-hmm.
Or book in the movie. We'll see.
We shall see. I mean, it's just a wait and see kind of thing, but the bottom line is people are going to seek out your work if they're really curious,
Right,
you
right.
know?
The one thing that Kyrie did was that he sparked the curiosity, and people, because the media were such outroar because of this what he did, it drew all the attention. People are looking at Kyrie Irving, and he's saying, "Well, I keep asking me to apologize, but I'm not the one that made the movie. Why don't y'all go to
No.
him?" Everybody keeps saying, they keep putting the microphone and saying, "Well, what do you say about this anti-Semitic film that you promoted?" And he's like, "I didn't say nothing. I didn't make the movie. Go ask the guy that made the movie." But nobody's coming to me with a
No.
microphone saying, "Mr. Dalton, how do you feel about the movie you made and all the hurt that you
No,
caused?"
they have made Kyrie the scapegoat.
Yeah,
I mean, that's essentially all they have done. They've made him a scapegoat, but it is your movie. You are the author, you're the creator, you're the producer, it's your movie. Now, I saw one of your debates with a rabbi, and I think it was like 4 years ago.
it's a long time ago.
Yes, it was. Now, let me just ask you this. Is the door still open for rabbis to come and debate you?
Yeah, but like I said, like that was a long time ago,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't really. I wasn't being. I didn't hit this guy with all the information that I have. I just wanted people to see how the rabbis don't know nothing.
Mm-mm.
And like I said, I want a top rabbi. I want a top well-known rabbi in America. I don't want no Joe Blow rabbi that doesn't have a synagogue, that nobody knows who he is. He's just popping out of nowhere saying, I'm
Mhm.
a rabbi and I want to debate you. I want a rabbi that the Jewish community, like the rabbis that re-educate Nick Cannon, and they sit down with Kyrie, the ones that are on TV, the ones that are well respected in the Jewish community, that have the research and the knowledge and the education and the credentials,
Mhm.
that they can sit and have a discussion or debate and bring all the facts that they have. Because a lot of times these rabbis, they don't, simple questions like what color were the original Egyptians, white or black? They say, well, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? You mean this is 2022? You don't, were they white or black? Just answer the question.
Mhm.
And they'll say,
Mhm.
well, they were olive skin colored. Well, they look like middle, they look like
Well,
Middle Eastern.
olives come in two colors, green and black, right?
Yeah, they'll say they were Middle Eastern. Like, what is the color of a Middle Eastern
First
person?
of all, that's not even no such thing until the Brits made it that way. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody walks around and say I'm Middle Eastern. They'll tell you what country they come from.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I mean, I have a lot of information I
Oh,
can
let
bring up.
the trolls stay, because you know what? They are taking the time to come here and watch this. So, trolls, thank you for the views. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're getting my view count up for me. Thank you.
but then one of the things I say to them, I say the land of Ham is Africa. I said the ancient Egyptians, they called themselves uh, Kemet, KMT, Kemet. And Kemet means land of the blacks. That's what Kemet means.
Mm-hmm.
In Hebrew, it's Mitzrayim, or misery in Arabic. So Cush is in Sudan. The word Ethiopia is a Greek term that means burnt or dark faces,
Right.
because at some point they stopped using Cush, then they started using Nubia, then they started using Ethiopia. So I asked the Jews a question. I said, who are the Canaanites today? Who are the Canaanites? Canaan was one of the sons of Ham. He was the brother of the Egyptians. He was the brother of the Cushites.
Mm-hmm.
So where are the Canaanites today? They will say the Canaanites are the Lebanese people. I say that doesn't make any sense. So the Egyptians were black, the Cushites in Sudan were black on the walls of Egypt. But you telling me that their brother Canaan was a white Arab? That
Right.
doesn't make no sense. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to ask these questions of, well, how is that possible? And do they really know that the land of Ham is Africa? And Ham means hot in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
And in Africa, you're not going to see people, wearing big coats and stuff. It's hot in Africa. From Egypt all the way down to even South Africa, the temperature is not that cold. Maybe when it gets cold outside, like when it's nighttime. But ultimately, people in Africa is majority. The original people are black people. The
Yes.
people that came to North Africa later, they invaded North Africa. The Vandals, the Romans, the Greeks, the Arabs from Arabia. The black Arabs. They invaded Africa later, and of course with the scramble for Africa in the Berlin Conference, more European nations came into Africa, but
Right.
Africa was always been a black continent.
Mm-hmm.
So all the children of Ham and the daughters were black people. They were melanated people. They were not white people, and we have to get that clear that the Hebrew Israelites in the Old Testament, they intermarried with the daughters of Ham, melanated, what we would call African people. They
Mm-hmm.
they can't get past that. They can't get past it. They can't get around it.
Right.
So
And didn't Job, he was talking about how the famine and how hot it was, and he said, my skin is black upon me.
exactly, exactly. So this is common sense, but people don't have. We haven't been looking at it like that. We haven't really paid attention to the scripture the way that we should. But now our eyes are open, and we're seeing these things that we haven't seen for many years. And now with Hebrews to Negroes, it has opened up the eyes and ears of many people now, and people are now asking questions, and the cat is out the bag.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we're going to wrap up the interview. Is there anything else you would like to say to my subscribers in the chat? We got 2,317 people that are here right now.
Wow. Um, well, one, I'm not going to apologize. I'm never going to apologize. So, our black leaders can say things and they can retract their statement. They can apologize. And, sometimes people have to be uh, the scapegoat or the martyr or the one that is crucified for everybody else. But, we have to look at this thing that happened with Kyrie as a reflection of black society and black in the black community. The NBA, the retired players like Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley and Shaq and Reggie Miller and many other retired Julius Irving, even the ones that were playing active players in the NBA. The majority of the NBA is black. And we
Mhm.
always say that we are black and proud, and we've been through a lot in America, and we represent and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, we really saw how united we are as a people. And we can kneel before the flag when they say I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. We can kneel down and say I'm not gonna stand up and put my hand on my chest. We can say we're not gonna do that. But at the end of the day, when we don't all come together and stand up for something and let one of our own be humiliated and flogged and whipped and broken, and to have a grown man to apologize over and over again, like it's not enough. And for him to have to go through anti-sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training.
You know how insensitive people are towards us on a regular basis.
Oh yeah.
I
All
mean,
the time.
I'm just saying.
You know, he has to sit down with the team owners and show a level of understanding on what he did. Like he's a kid. He has to donate money to an organization, instead of a black organization, he has to donate money to
That
another
seems like
organization.
extortion to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So we gotta understand, like nobody said, listen, we're not playing. We're gonna sit back with our mansions and our houses. We're gonna go on vacation, and you call us when Kyrie Irving can come back and play. When you're done, when you have stopped this nonsense and shenanigans, and let the man play, and he exert his freedom of speech and freedom of expression. He should not have to go through these things. In the NBA, we're not playing until our brother, our fellow comrade, we're not playing until he comes back and plays. And y'all treat this man with respect and some dignity. He's making y'all a lot of money. People come to watch him play at the stadiums, but this man has done nothing but post a link to a movie that he decided to watch on his own free will. And if somebody wants to watch a movie and they think that it's garbage, it's trash, then as adults, as free thinking adults, we should have the ability to not have mommy and daddy tell us what we can't watch on TV. We're not kids.
Mhm. You know how many of their movies I watched over the years and it came out of Hollywood and it's complete trash?
Exactly. But we
Some
but
of
we
them
had
I wanted a refund. It was so bad.
exactly but we have the free will to at least say, should I watch this? Let me go home and watch it. We click pay, we click buy, purchase, $9.99 deducted from our bank account. If it was not good, then we just lost $9.99. That's it. If
Right.
we don't believe in the movie, the documentary, we just say, well, I didn't believe in a lot of things that was in that documentary. On to the next one. But they're trying to tell us that we don't have the right to look at a movie or a book and decide for ourselves whether we believe it or not. Almost like you're telling your kid, cover your eyes, go upstairs, you can't watch this. It's rated R or
Right.
whatever.
And I don't care what anybody say. When you're on your own free time, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want, watch what you want, go where you want, communicate with who you want. I don't think nobody should be micromanaged like that.
Exactly. And this is the whole basis of this whole thing is that the subtitle of the movie is "Wake Up, Black America," and by them going through extensive lengths to take this movie down, all the petitions that they signed, all the people that's constantly going to Jeff Bezos, what they're telling you is that they don't want black people to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
If the FBI has many programs to fight anti-Semitism, the director of the FBI is teaming up with the ADL so that they can issue out many programs to combat anti-Semitism. That shows you that the United States federal government and its law enforcement agency named the FBI is in. Well, I would say in cahoots. They support this, and just like J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, he supported the takedown of Marcus Garvey and the arrest of Marcus Garvey because he wanted black people to revisit to Africa, to invest in Africa, and to relocate to Africa. That in itself was a no-no. That was a no-no. And they got the law enforcement agency known as the FBI and the president, J. Edgar Hoover, to investigate, to infiltrate, to take down, to arrest, and to shut this down.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be a wake-up call. One, because back 100 years ago, Marcus Garvey, if he had the ships to start taking us back to Africa, and they would have just left him alone, a lot of us would have been coming back to Africa. But because of the imagery and the narrative that they play on showing how bad Africa is, we 100 years later, some of us are just now finding out that when we go to Africa, that it's not like what y'all been telling us. Like when I took a plane to Ghana and to South Africa, when I got there, I was amazed to see so many other nations there. You know, you go look up.
I mean, it's just like any other place. Even here in America, you got slums and projects and places where it was once a bustling town, and it's like a skeleton of itself. You know, so of course you're going to see some areas that are not good in Africa, and then you're going to see some that are very nice. Exactly. Isn't that how it is all over the world? Everything is not nice here in America.
Exactly. So, you know, I mean, people need to take from this is that we need to understand that there are powers to be that do not want black people to wake up.
Right.
They don't want us to have this kind of information. They want to teach in schools that slavery was a choice and we were indentured servitudes and we came to America for a better life, for better living, and that we had endured sharecropping, indentured servitude, you know, like people from India.
Ronald, I heard we wanted to work for free. I said, I ain't never met anybody in my life that wanted to work for free. But they're willing to put some stupid mess like that out there.
Yeah. They try to cancel our history and our Holocaust, but then tell us that we are supposed to embrace everything about everybody else's problems and situations and bad things that happen to them. And it just goes to show you that black people in America, we should look at this and say, look, we got to start understanding now that we have to make sure that we start educating our own people the right way, because they obviously don't want us to wake up. No. They want to know these things, and they're willing to go through all these measures as a collective group, a body, the celebrities, the ADL, the FBI, to take down information that they know is valuable to us as a people.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that. I agree. All right, we're going to go ahead and conclude because I'm sure Ronald have things that he's got to do in his life. And I do appreciate you spending time with us this evening. And who knows, maybe we can come together and do this again, especially when you start getting on some more projects. Oh, you know, because I'm sure everybody will be interested in hearing, you know, what you got coming up next. I know I am.
If you, Lisa, if you like this movie right here, Revelation: The Age of Awakening, then you see part 3, you're gonna be like,
okay, well then, man, I gotta see part 3. But yes, if you did not get the chance to see volume 2, you definitely have to see it. It is phenomenal. It really is. And like he said, the whole point is to educate us. It's not spending time all throughout the movie talking about the Jewish people and stuff. That would not make any sense if it's supposed to be about us. You know, and that's exactly what he focuses on, you know, educating the people so that you can learn about who you are, or, you know, at least plant the seed so that you will be interested enough to research the information a little more. So everybody, thank you for being here. And we'll definitely do this hopefully sometime in the future when Ronald is on to a project that he's about to release. So shalom, everybody. Please enjoy the rest of your night. And again, thank you so much, Ronald Dalton Jr., for being our guest.
No problem. No problem.
Shalom, family.
Shalom.